Partners in Ministry, a presentation of Josiah White's Quakerdale Foundation, dedicated to growing ministry support networks, introducing people to a cause that connects with their heart, bringing hope and encouragement to our communities as we seek together to serve as Christ served.
Welcome. My name is Dan Smith, and today I'll be talking with Scott Biddle, the founder of Unleashing Heroes. In this interview, we're going to discuss what it means for youth of today to be heroes in their own story, what's holding them back so they need to be unleashed, and finally, how as adults or parents, we can be a part of unleashing them. Welcome, Scott, and thank you for joining me.
Hey, thanks. It's so good to be here.
With the uniqueness of the topic that we're going to talk about here, I think we need to get a little bit of info into who is this Scott Biddle guy and what in the world brought you from point A to point Z on this thing.
Whew, that's a pretty heavy topic there.
You can
I don't know
handle
if we want to get too psychological here. Get a little worried about that. Yeah, so it's been quite a journey, right? So I've kind of grown up in the church and as a youth pastor, traveled and spoke at different churches as an evangelist. And as I started traveling, I really started to see that our adults that are out in the world working with our teens, young adults in different aspects are really struggling to reach them and
Hmm.
trying to figure out how do they get in contact with them and how they connect with them and so it just started dawning on me, we've got to do something if we're going to reach this next generation. We have somehow got to be training our people to think and to work with and to connect with our teenagers. And so that kind of began this whole new outlook for me to say, okay, I want to help teens, young adults grow up to be who they're supposed to become, like to be their hero of their own story, right? But we've
Sure.
also, to spread that, make that a little bit easier, why don't we get more people involved? Why don't we take the people that are already working with teens, young adults, as well as those who are going, man, I really want an impact on this world. Let's get in there. Let's talk about how we do this and make it a little bit easier to do.
Awesome. Awesome. What previous experience have you had working either with youth or young adults to this point?
Yeah, so I've been all over the place. So as a youth pastor, I was working with senior young adults. As I traveled and spoke, I got to see them both in colleges, on different campuses, in youth ministry things, as well as my last job. I was a youth and young adult director, so I got to oversee kind of programming for youth and young adults across about 30 different churches. And so now that I'm working with people like in college, like just last night. I threw this is going to sound crazy. I know. This is kind of weird stuff I get into, but I got to go throw an axe party for William Penn University here in Oskaloosa, Iowa. And got to kind of throw them in there and teach them how to throw axes and do some duck pin bowling. And then I got to speak to them right here. And so it's been a really great opportunity. I've also, in those times of training in 30 different churches, it was working with adults. How do we help them? How do we help them figure out how to reach their own communities? So yeah,
Awesome.
so it's a little varied there on where we're going.
Right, right. Well, it is very obvious that you are very passionate about what you're doing and what you want to see happen. Can you identify anything internally that's just driving you on this? That you just, I mean, it almost like it feels like you're compelled that you've got no choice. You've got to do this.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I just think it's from working with people, you realize and it's almost like I can see into them. Like I can see the hurt and the pain. I can see the loneliness that happens. I see especially in this last probably 10 years and even worse over the last two, the real struggles that we have with our teenagers and the loneliness that they have. When we talk about social media and they're always connected with somebody, but there also brings a loneliness to that. It brings I have to show a certain who I am over here, but in reality, I'm over here. And so we're really missing the interpersonal stuff, right? But the problem is they're also feeding off of us as adults, right? Because we're all struggling as well. We're struggling with how do we
Mhm.
go through life? How do we have
Yeah.
social emotional health? How do we work a job while we're trying to take care of stuff at home and our bills and all this, going through stores now with shelves that are empty. And you're like, what is happening? Like, how is this happening? But they're feeding off of us. And so really I'm really concerned about our teens, young adults and them growing up and the fact that um, we want them to do well, but I'm not sure we know how to take care of that or to help them to become who they're supposed to become. So,
Sure. Yeah. Hero is a word that we will use oftentimes in many different contexts. And of course, it brings with it many different understandings of what it is that we're talking about. As you use it here in this movement of unleashing heroes, what does it mean for our youth to be a hero of their story?
oh man, I just watch any movie. Go pick up any movie you want to watch and just pick it out and just watch the main character. The main character is the hero of that story. They're the hero of that movie. Pick up a book, pick up a magazine, and whoever the main character is, that's the hero. That's who we're talking about. That who
Mm,
has become the main character, right? And so many times we are put off and we're putting our teens and young adults into this almost like a supporting cast role, right? Like we say, okay, we want you to help us become who we're supposed to become. As I was saying, teens and young adults, you are the hero of your story. How do I help you to become the best that you can be? Rather than, hey, support me, support what I'm doing as a parent, support what I'm doing as a boss, as a teacher. How do we help them? And so the hero becomes a person that can take who they are, what they're gifted with, their talents, their all that stuff, and start adding tools to their tool belt, right? Like heroes, whenever you see them, they have some sort of a special gift. It doesn't have to be like X-ray vision, right? Like it can be things like I'm really good at playing the guitar, or I'm really good at throwing a football, or I'm really like there's so many different points to this, but we need to release them into those things and say, I will help you get to wherever you want to go, and make them the hero, so they're the hero of their own story.
sure, sure. What are some things that are holding them back right now that they need to be released from?
Uh, yeah, I think interpersonal things is a big part of this, right? I think the connection piece of knowing how to talk to other people is one. I think the loneliness that's really setting them apart, almost kind of pulling them back into the world and going, okay, I don't have any way to release this stuff. So they feel like they're all by themselves. I feel like they're not being empowered. How do we give them the power? How do we give them the opportunity to use the gifts and talents that they have? How do we give them the opportunity to use those? But we're not giving those. I think we're trying to keep those too often. So how do we help them use their tools? How do we help them figure out their path? Right, not our path for them, but how they figure out their own path. How do we help them create the culture around them so that they can continue to grow into who they're supposed to become, as opposed to living in this world that is trying to pull them back and keep them under their thumb.
Hmm,
So it's really exploring those different avenues.
sure. So are you saying that in a way, the youth of today have a tendency to see themselves as a spectator to their own life rather than a participant?
I think in some cases, I think in some cases it's we've already placed them. They feel like they've already been placed in a certain place in the world, a certain caste or a certain area, and they don't know how to get out of that. And so they, whether encouraged or not, there's this feeling that they're stuck. And so how do we help them to think outside of who they are and outside of the things that they've been taught or the things that they are thinking to become that next level?
Sure. Is there any inherent danger in this type of a thing getting going from being um, taking ownership of your story and driving and using the tools like you said and making it happen and maybe jumping over the line and becoming a little bit on the narcissistic side?
I think that's inherent in everything we do, right? There's always a good side and a bad side. Sure, you can take off and you can become. It's all about me. There's not about anybody else. I'm going to be the hero of my own story, meaning I'm everything. Everything around me means nothing. The people around me mean nothing. And you're right. We can definitely get into that. But I think in when we talk about unleashing heroes, part of that is as adults, how do we help train to move in the right direction? Because I think we hear that about some of the whether it's the big celebrities or people that have all the money and they've just kind of made it all about themselves and not spreading. That's again, I think that's our training. That's where we get to step in and to be a part of that story as well as a
Sure.
supporting cast.
All of our children are now grown and gone and are trying to figure out their own lives and their own story. And I know one of the things that was very frustrating for us early on was trying to figure out, so how do I make that jump from the role of a oversighting parent to
Yes.
a underlying support foundation or underlying supporter or fan
Yes.
of our kids. So how do we do that? I mean, what as a parent or as an adult, what do we do to make to not add to this problem, but rather help them in becoming that hero for of their story?
Yeah, I think that shows in a couple different places, right? So you got parents. Parents need to start releasing, I think, a lot earlier. I think sometimes we wait until way too late. I know with our kids, we started teaching them to do things at 3 and 4 and 5. 5 years old, they're cooking. Like we're helping them to figure out how to do certain things, right? Empowering them. I remember them being at church, and someone we had a huge like coffee, food, different things all out on a bar where people would come up and snack before and after service, and they learned to do those things. And after so many months, they were actually training other adults on how to do those things, and it's begin to put into them the confidence that they can do these things, right? And so it's actually starting a little bit earlier. I think there's also a place as other people in our community, as other members of our community, to see teens, young adults, and to see, even elementary kids, and look and go, listen, I see this in you.
Hmm.
And so there's a piece of us that our students actually need more than just their parents in their lives. They're actually saying you need 5 adults for every one teenager or one young adult. And that
Hmm.
concept that you have people speaking into them. Listen, when I was growing up, my parents went to church and they did everything that they're supposed to be doing, and they loved us, but I still looked for other people. I still found some other people to speak into my life. And those people are needed because they can sometimes say things that parents can't say. And a lot of times they listen to those things, not more importantly, but oh, that's somebody that doesn't have to love me, right? That's somebody that doesn't have to like me and move me to the next. That's somebody that actually sees me and knows me and loves me enough to tell me these things. And
Sure.
so I think that's a really huge piece that we need to think about, that we're able to see the things in people and then begin to move them into a new direction.
Well, that sounds like one of the things that's going to have to happen is there's going to have to be more exposure between the adult world and the youth or the young adult world to be able to see each other.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I don't know how well that happens either outside or inside the church or socially or whatever. So what are some what are some ways that we can make that connect? And you talked about the interpersonal part of it, make that relational connect to these folks that we can knowledgeably just say, you know what, this is really amazing what God's put in you. I think this is pretty cool. You really need to think about making that a major part of how He uses you going forward, because it really seems like He's blessed you. Well, I can't say that if I don't know you.
Right. Right.
How's it going
Yeah.
to happen? Because it almost seems like there's this division. There's not. I don't think it's intentional. How do we
Right.
combat that?
Yeah. Yeah. I think we start with fear. I see fear on all sides of this, right? So we've got teenagers, young adults that are afraid to talk to adults, because they fear they're going to get talked down to, or they're not going to
Mm,
like them, right? But it goes the same way the other direction. I work with a lot of adults, and even older adults, and they're like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to connect with them. I don't know how to, like, I'm scared that they're not going to like me. Like, I hear it from both sides. It's a crazy, crazy phenomenon. And you're right. We've got to figure out how to get over that intergenerational things. Some things that I do, right? So I'm connected with the campus, college campus, as you heard me talk a little bit about earlier,
mm,
that I can actually interact and be on campus and do things in some of those groups. I have some connections with churches in the area that I can connect with and be able to work with teens and adults, be able to work with adults. I sit in a coffee shop. Okay. I have people that are coming to my table that just want to talk. It's like they see me over and over, and they see other people walk up, so then they begin to come up and talk, and I get to talk to the people that are at the coffee shop, right? Like they are there, and they're seeing what I'm doing, and just a couple weeks ago they go, Scott, I see you sitting at what's your what schoolwork are you working on? I'm like, well, thank you for thinking I'm so young. Really appreciate that. Woo, makes me feel really good. Hit me right in the heart, right? Like that's good. No, I'm actually here to help people like you, to help you become everything you can. And she was like, that sounds like the best thing. I'm 21, 22, and I have 2 kids, and I just don't know how to get to the just conversation, right? It could be everything from standing in line at a grocery store to talking to somebody about whatever you see. It can be bubble gum, it can be what they're wearing, it can be the person they're like anything. Pick something and have a conversation. And it's amazing how people are longing in a lot of ways to have those conversations. And it just starts real simply, and you never know where any little conversation is going to go.
Yeah, yeah. I can already see a major shift in the way that I perceive the young adult world, even my own kids right now, in terms of um, I like the idea of being a hero of their story.
Mm.
Um, I've got to get to know that better. I need to provide opportunities for me to tell me your story. What do you seeing? And God's the one that's actually writing it, and they're they're playing it out and unfolding it, and then offering help. How can I help you achieve what it is that you feel like God's wanting you to do? And is there anything I'm doing that's standing in the way? Um, and unless we learn how to interact better intergenerationally. My fear for screwing up and their fear for me looking down on them, that's never going to get handled. And that's probably one of the biggest things. We just each need to feel comfortable with each other. So it sounds to me like I need to make sure I'm drinking more coffee, and I need to learn to throw an axe. It sounds like.
I think that those are the two best things you could ever do right there. Yeah, you know what? And I think as parents, I think another part of it is knowing when to talk and when to have those
Mm,
conversations, right? I think so many times uh listen, I've got two teenagers, and there are times I'm just they go up to the rooms because that's what teenagers do, right? I remember doing that. I remember they go to the rooms. I'm literally sitting in the living room waiting just in case they come down. So I'll be working on something else, I'll be watching TV, but I'm waiting for them to come down. I will find excuses. Hey, let's go grab a bite to eat. Hey, let's go for a bike ride. Hey, let's finding things that they like to do to be a part of their world and not make them be a part of my world.
sure.
And so sometimes it's just waiting for them to be ready to talk. So I know that when my son is on his way back from a soccer game or just getting home, he'll start pacing the floor and he's ready to talk. Like I can sense that. But I'm not trying to pressure him into figuring that out. It's waiting for him to be ready, but creating the space for that to be ready to go. And so I
Sure.
think that's we want to push as parents. Oh, let's go. Come on, how's your day at school? And how's those are great questions. We need to expand those questions, but sometimes they're just not ready, and this isn't the moment. Which I think we have found out with our spouses. I think we found out with our friends over the years. Like all those people, we're okay doing that with. Um, and so those are things we need to figure out. I think the same thing when we're out in the community, when we're a boss, when we are
Mm,
doing in church, when we're out in the community, you can visually see a lot of times how someone's feeling, uh, whether they're ready to talk or not, and it's really disciplining your eyes and I'd say your spirit to kind of be able to sense some of the things of people around you, to know when it's appropriate, when just to do a simple, a funny comment, or man, are you okay? What's going on?
sure.
So
Yeah. Yeah. If I'm a listener out there, and I really would like to pursue this more, learn more about what's going on and how I can be a part of the positive side of unleashing our young heroes. Uh, where do I get started? Do I contact you? Do you have a book or something? A website? What's my first step, Scott?
yeah, really, probably the easiest way uh, is you can either email me or there's actually a contact information that right now I cannot remember.
That's why we're going to put it on the screen.
We're gonna put it right down here.
Yeah,
And so if you go to that contact information, you can actually schedule a Zoom call with me, and
that'd be
let's just
great.
have a conversation about where we can get you from where you're at to the next step. As adults, how do you actually empower your students? How do you connect with them so they can become everything that they're supposed to become? And I think what that does for us as adults, right? I think seeing our kids become whatever is in their life, whether going to college or not going to college, whether they are becoming going into career, seeing them take off and be themselves and taking the power so that they can actually be who they want to be, that is like the ultimate gift, at least to me as a dad. Like
Sure.
I love seeing my my kids, my daughter and my son start to grow up and they're making their own choices and they're going, listen, I don't like all their choices. I'll be honest with you, not a huge fan of everything that they do, but I want to be there, support them and love them. Right. And
Sure.
so how can I help you get from, okay, like, I think a lot of we come out of fear of the world. We're scared. The world's going to eat them up and we don't want to, we want to take all the risk out of it. I got to tell you, our teens, young adults are created for risk. Like they are ready to go. Their brains are not fully developed. They're ready to go. They don't know that there's risk out there. They want to
Sure.
go. And so yeah, just you can either email me at scott@unleashedheroes.com or the contact information down below. And we'll schedule a Zoom call and let's see what the next steps can be for you.
Well, that'd be great. That'd be great. You kind of got me fired up. I would love to pursue putting together some training resources for either adults, parents, churches, whatever, with you as we pursue this. I think this would be really a great resource for a lot of people in a lot of ways. So, Scott, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been great having you.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, can I give you one more thing?
You bet.
Okay. So I was watching, I don't know which one of my kids wanted to watch Narnia the other day. All right. And as I was watching, and it's not the first time I've seen it, right? I've seen it before. But as I was watching, I was trying to watch the supporting cast, not the heroes. The heroes are the four main characters, right? The
Hmm.
kids. And I was watching, and as I watched, and if you've seen the movie, the beavers kind of jump in there, right? And they're kind of telling them, this is where you're supposed to go. This is the journey. This is where you're supposed to go. The teens had no idea. They didn't have a clue what this whole world, Narnia, was all about. But they begin to speak into their journey. And this is, haven't you heard the prophecy? Haven't you heard what you're supposed to become? And so they're throwing all this stuff in there. So can we be someone that helps to reveal the journey? Can we be there to help to say, this is what I see in you? The
Sure.
second person I remember seeing come in was Saint Nicholas. Okay, he jumps in, and there's fear happening in the scene, and he's scared. The teens are scared, and one of the beavers down there, they're scared, and all of a sudden, it's Saint Nicholas, and he jumps out, and he has gifts, and he gives each person a gift designed just for them
Mm.
to use in their journey. Now, listen, this wasn't a gift that they were given. They go, okay, here, you're perfect at it. But here's a gift to use on your rest of your journey. Can we be a St. Nicholas? Can we help to give gifts? Can we help to point out the things that they're good at, right?
Right.
Third thing, I see Aslan come in. And he comes in and he gives them the opportunity to use the gifts. He empowers them. Okay, hold back. Everybody stand back. Let him take care of this. Let Peter take care
Mm.
of this. This is using his gift. And so, can we be the Aslan? Can we empower and say, okay, I'm going to step back so that you can do what you're supposed to do? And I just look at those three things just out of one movie. Seriously, go to any movie, go watch it. There's always a hero. There's always supporting cast, which I would call a guide, somebody to help guide them through life from one step to another that gets them from one place to another, but they have different roles. And so, how are we guiding our kids? How are we guiding our teenagers? How are we guiding the people in our community to be able to reach and become the hero of their own story?
Awesome.
So,
Awesome.
yeah.
So it looks like three main principles from Chronicles of Narnia, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. One, make sure they understand their story and the role that they've been placed in it. The beavers. Saint Nicholas, help affirm the gifting that they've been given by God to be that hero. And then third, let them shine.
Yeah.
Don't get in the way, but let them shine and empower them to play that role and to use those gifts and be that hero.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sounds good. Great.
Yeah.
Awesome, Scott. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Hey, it was great talking with you, and I look forward to see whatever's next. Who knows? Give me a call. Let's do something. Let's do
All
something.
right. Hey, if you got any questions or if you'd like to learn more about Scott, or if you want to learn how to throw an axe, his contact information is right there on the screen, or you can find it in the show notes that's attached to this video or on the blog that'll come out on this. So in the meantime, let's all get out there and serve as Christ serves.
This has been a presentation of Partners in Ministry, a podcast of Josiah White's Quakerdale Foundation. To learn more and see the show notes for this and other episodes, visit our website. To stay informed of up and coming broadcasts, subscribe to our e-newsletter. To invest in our mission, donate today.